What does he say to you?
That's when he threatened me that if I would say anything, he trusted me or something.
Why did he have you come over there? Did he need help with something? Remember, we already know, but we need to hear it from you. Why did he have you come over there? He needed help, didn't he? What did he need help with? Go ahead and tell us.
Probably to get rid of the body.
This is why you should never commit crimes with your family. Teresa Halbach, a 25-year-old freelance photographer, arrived at the Avery salvage yard on October 31, 2005 at approximately 2:30 in the afternoon. This is the last time Teresa was seen alive. 3 days later, Teresa's mother reports her daughter missing, forcing the Calumet and Manitowoc County Police Departments to jump into action. Over the course of 2 weeks, a grueling and upsetting investigation was conducted, revealing an evil nature found in few. Stephen Avery is a well-known criminal, not just for Netflix's special, but for the slew of crimes he has committed. Beginning in the early 1980s, Avery was convicted of burgling a bar. Then, in the winter of 1982, he was jailed for animal cruelty after pouring oil on a cat and setting it alight. In 1985, Avery was sentenced to 6 years in prison for endangering safety while evidencing a depraved mind, after driving off the road and pointing a gun at his cousin's head. Later the same year, Penny Bernstone was attacked and sexually assaulted on the beach of Lake Michigan. Avery was selected twice as the perpetrator and sentenced to 32 years in jail. Despite his history, Avery was exonerated on September 11, 2003 and set free.
No, she just showed up.
She just showed up, okay. What were we gonna sell?
Then we won the van.
The van?
Had the pictures of.
Okay. Where was the van parked?
Between me and Barbara, on the driveway.
By the driveway between you and Barbara? Okay. So she shows up, about what time?
Most time it's between 2 and 3 o'clock.
Have
This time it was between 2 and 2:30.
So she shows up between 2 and 2:30?
Yeah, something like that.
You'd met her before, is that correct?
A year.
I'm
Over
sorry?
a year.
Avery is sitting up in an open and relaxed position with open body language, but he's initially nodding his head. Avery does this often throughout the interview, after statements and while listening to the detective speak. In American culture, a nod of the head is seen as an affirmation that you are agreeing to something. If this head nod is initial, this is a manipulation tactic. It's easier for others to agree with you if you're nodding your head while they speak.
So she writes down the serial number, she takes the picture, and then how much was the charge for that?
$40.
$40.
Yeah.
She comes into the house then?
No.
Okay, she doesn't come into the house? Okay. How do you pay her?
In cash.
In cash? Where did you pay
And with
her?
a slip of paper with the article on it.
Okay. What article?
The 89 van for sale.
Oh, okay, I understand. The ad, okay. So you paid her $40,
Yeah.
and where did you pay her the money?
Right there on the van.
By the van?
Yeah.
Okay. Does she come into the house that day?
No.
Never?
No.
And after you pay her the $40, what happens next?
She got her vehicle.
If you notice, the detective is moving around, gesturing, leaning against the wall and the table, where Avery, on the other hand, is not. This type of body language can be an indicator of a lack of empathy or an indicator of psychopathic behavior. While this is not an official diagnosis of Avery's mental state, if we were to consider his past crimes, an assumption of psychopathic behavior is not far-fetched by any means. People who are of sound mind don't light cats on fire or point guns at their cousins without reason.
Have you ever told you?
Yeah.
What did she tell you?
That she heard from somebody else, and somebody else heard it from a cop to them. Then it came to me.
What did she tell you? What did she tell you she heard?
She told me that she heard that a cop put it out there and planted evidence.
Put what up there?
That vehicle.
On November 3rd, 2005, Teresa's mother reports her daughter missing. Over the course of 2 weeks, investigators found an increasing amount of evidence at the Avery salvage yard. Each article only further linked Stephen Avery to the murder of Teresa Halbach. Avery, on the other hand, has told detectives that he's heard rumors of a police officer planting Teresa's personal car in the crusher located at the salvage yard. This is yet another manipulation tactic Avery uses to throw investigators off his scent. Unfortunately for Avery, Teresa's car wasn't the only thing found. The license plate belonging to her vehicle was found on a separate vehicle on the lot. Inside the car, detectives found blood from both a man and a woman. Teeth and bone fragments belonging to an adult female were discovered in the fire pit, also located in the salvage yard. Avery was seen tending to a fire in the same pit on the night of Teresa's disappearance. Piece by piece, Avery's story unravels. At the same time as the murder investigation, Avery was suing the Manitowoc County Police Department and others for $36 million. Avery's previous charges left him incarcerated for 18 years for the attack and assault of Penny Bernstein. In 2002, Avery was exonerated of the crime, and the real attacker was found and jailed. But because of his history with the Manitowoc PD, Avery began to publicly claim that the officers were attempting to frame him for yet another crime he didn't commit.
And they were just talking? Were they doing anything else? Were they screaming, fighting, talking, pushing, anything?
Just talking.
Okay. You went in your house, and this is about 3:45.
Mm-hmm.
Then what'd you do in your house? Be honest, so we don't have to go through this 8 times.
I went into my room, and because my mom told me I had to clean my room, I cleaned it a little bit, and I played PlayStation 2 for a little bit. It was about like 5 o'clock, and my brother was on the phone with his friend.
Blaine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brendan Dassy is the 16-year-old nephew of Stephen Avery, and together they lived on a trailer that was parked in the Avery salvage yard. Unlike Avery, who is psychotic in his behavior, Brendan is meek and quiet. Brendan was never officially diagnosed with any sort of specific mental disability, despite having an IQ of 70 points. He suffered from a severe learning disability that not only affected his schoolwork but everyday life as well. Despite being 16 years old, Brendan was mentally 10 years old, meaning that things teenagers or young adults can easily understand or comprehend, Brendan cannot. His body language may seem relaxed, but in reality, he's frightened and doesn't fully understand what's going on, refusing to make eye contact, and speaks in broken sentences as he tries to convey his memory to the detective. These are all signs of what we know as autism.
And he was talking about going trick-or-treating with him, and that Jason will pick him up at like 7.
And
then I ate, and I went into the living room, and I was eating in the living room and watching TV.
then what'd you see? Honest.
What?
This is the second interview detectives conducted with Brendan Dassy. The first interview was not recorded, and only partial audio clips were released. Brendan's learning disability limits his thought process and level of understanding. In order for him to understand the questions being asked of him, the detectives have to be specific and direct. However, in the previous interview as well as this one, the detective is coaching Brendan. He's used the phrase "be honest" multiple times and has a rough tone when he speaks. Brendan slowly begins to tell the story as it's been told to him.
And what's in the garage?
His Monty.
His Monty. Where's that Suzuki?
On the side.
Is the big garage door open?
Mm-hmm.
So you walk in there, and he said, and this is Halloween. Okay. And what's he doing?
He's working on his Monty.
What about the fire?
Do you mean if it was started or something? No, it wasn't.
Okay. We're not going to go any further in this because we need to get the truth out now. We know the fire was going. We know that he had already had his altercation with Teresa. We don't believe there's a Monty in there. I talked to you the other night and you said nothing about Monty. You said nothing about something getting punctured and leaking out. We talked about cleaning something up in that garage. You told me that you thought, thinking back now that it was blood, it was red in color.
The Manitowoc Police Department was under fire for falsely accusing and imprisoning Stephen Avery and was pending a massive lawsuit. While it's evident that Avery murdered Teresa Halbach, the evidence investigators had was circumstantial at best. It was enough to put Avery away for the rest of his life, but considering his past convictions and still being freed from jail multiple times, Manitowoc wanted more than enough evidence to keep him in jail. This is where Brendan Dassy comes into play.
Tell us what happened.
Your mom said you'd be honest with us.
And she's behind you 100% no matter what happens here.
That's what she said. Because she thinks you know more too.
We're in your corner.
We already know what happened. Now tell us exactly. Don't lie.
We can't say it for you, Brendan, okay?
Back and forth, the detectives play off each other's words, pushing for Brendan to tell the story he knows. Brendan doesn't know any better, or is unable to take into consideration the repercussions of telling the story the detectives want to hear. They are not his friend, nor are they in his corner.
Are you hearing anything coming from the inside of the trailer at this time?
Yeah.
What?
The words help me.
Okay. That's gotta be pretty devastating, right? But you still knock.
You went into the trailer then?
You knock and he comes to the door. What's he look like? Is he dressed? Has he got anything on him? What's he look like?
He's got a white shirt on with red shorts and all sweaty.
He's all sweaty. Any blood at this time?
No.
One of the two detectives has moved into the view of the camcorder, where we're able to see more of his body language. He is stiff, hunched over, with his head resting in the palm of his hand. This type of body language suggests annoyance and irritation. The detective is not in a welcoming position, and by the look on his face when Brendan says no, is becoming increasingly aggravated with the teen. The detective wants the story of Teresa's murder quickly, but working with Brendan is testing both of the investigators' patience. Brendan, on the other hand, has sunk further into the sofa he sits on. He's slouching with his head down and focused on his hands. Stimming is a term used to describe when someone with autism is self-stimulating. It's a natural behavior for Brendan to have, as it helps him cope with stress. By repetitively rubbing and moving his fingers around, Brendan is trying to keep himself calm and collected while the detectives push for answers.
Does he let you in the trailer?
He lets me in the kitchen.
He what?
He walks me into the kitchen.
What does he say to you?
If I want a soda.
Does he know you've heard anything? Is she still saying stuff?
Yeah.
Then he walks you into the kitchen. Okay, play the video for us, bud. Tell us what's happening.
It's okay. Tell us what happened. What does he say to you?
That he never got some of that stuff, so he wanted to get some.
Never got what?
A girl.
Okay.
What did you say just a second ago, though?
Repeat what you said.
That he wanted to get some
Somewhat.
pussy.
And that's what he said to you? What did you do?
I ain't do nothing.
Brendan? Brendan? Come on. What did you do?
What does Stephen make you do?
He told me to do.
What does that mean to you?
As the interview continues, the detectives become more demanding of Brendan. On one hand, Stephen Avery threatened to possibly kill him, while on the other hand, detectives are pushing for Brendan to tell them what happened. The two concepts are feuding inside Brendan's mind.
What did you guys do with Teresa's body after that? After it was burned?
I don't know, I didn't do nothing with it.
Did Stephen do anything with it?
Yeah, but I don't know what.
What do you mean by yes, but you don't know what?
Like he tried to bury it or something.
How do you do that?
With the shovel.
Did he take some of her body out of that fire pit?
Yeah.
He did. Tell me how he did that.
Like when the bones were left behind. He would like try to take the shovel and try to break the bones apart, and he would bury them, like right by the fire almost.
What do you mean he'd bury him right by the fire?
Like he dug a hole and he put the bones in there and he buried it.
Heartbreakingly, Brendan Dassy was forced into a situation he had no understanding of, or the severity of the crimes he was forced to commit. Stephen Avery was a brutal and evil man who, for unknown reasons, forced his nephew to join him in a life of unforgivable transgressions. Despite the drastic and obvious changes in Brendan's story, being coached by investigators, and the psychotic behavior of Stephen Avery, he would have been convicted of accessory to the first-degree homicide of Teresa Halbach and sexual assault and mutilation of a corpse. Brendan was tried without being screened for his mental health and has since been denied appeals for his case. Stephen Avery is found guilty of intentional homicide, as well as being a felon in possession of a firearm. He was acquitted of mutilating a corpse. On June 1, 2007, Avery was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. On August 2, 2007, then 17-year-old Brendan Dassy was sentenced to life in prison with a possibility of parole in 2048.